completely different sort of card for today's video, but this is a great one to use up your little extra scrap bits that you have laying around, and it's a lot of fun. Plus, it's really kind of pretty, I think. So let me introduce you to what we'll be using. We're going to be stamping a little bit, and this is the Elemental Swirl from the Singles range in Creative Expressions. And this card is going to feature one of the Expressions dies. This is the Love die. And we'll do a little bit of embossing on some of our pieces using the Climbing Vines embossing folder. So it's a fairly simple card. And like I said, it gets to use up a bit of your scrap pieces. What I'm going to do first is I've got a bit of pink card here, and I'm going to do some just some stamping with the Elemental Swirl using a clear perfect medium pad. And this is just going to watermark my background because this card is kind of all about the textures too. So I want to give a little bit of just difference to each of the sections. So I'm going to do some stamping. Just ink it up. You can twist it and turn it, getting different designs going, because as it gets cut up into strips, you're not going to be able to really notice any of these designs either. I'll do a few more here. And we're not going to do any embossing or anything. This will just dry onto the card with a little bit of a watermark look to it. There we go. So you can go ahead and stamp up the whole piece. I've done a few ahead of time, so I don't need to go ahead and finish that. And I've also got a piece of black card that I've just done some embossing using the Climbing Vines on. And then the last bit, I've gone ahead and cut these into strips. Just a piece of white card with a sticky adhesive sheet and some of the Diamond Snow, which is the really fine glitter jewels. I'll go ahead and show this to you so you can see just how pretty that is. It's nice and flat, but it just gives a beautiful texture and sheen to your card in sections. So all you're going to do is take a paper cutter, and I personally like the randomness of these designs. I don't measure anything out. It's just purely a cut into a sort of a pie shape, and I just twist and turn it a little bit back and forth so it's wider at one end than the other, and go through and trim. So I've got a whole bunch of these, and I can do some of these same exact way. Twist it and just turn it so it's a little pie shaped. Keep some of them wider, some of them thinner. So you've got a whole bunch of these to work from. So I've done some ahead of time. So I've got a pile of the black ones that are embossed. I've got the white ones here that have the glitter on them. And I've got some of the pink ones that we've stamped in. So I can work from there. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this base piece. I think just go full in, use a sticky sheet, because it's not that difficult to do. If you're a little bit more timid, you can use glue on the back of each one of the pieces and line them up perfectly. But I think it's easier just to go ahead and use the sticky sheet. And it's faster. Okay, so you have to decide where you want to put your emblem, your love emblem. And I'm going to kind of have it in that corner there. So all I need to do is just start with some of these smaller pieces that I've done and kind of eyeball where I want it. Keep that in mind. And I'm going to just put the wedges into place here. So find some of the smaller ones to start with. And you can always cut them down. So if it's a little bit too wide, you can take your paper cutter and you can actually trim it. So it's just a bit smaller to use. Oops, let's try that. There we go. So you've got a little bit smaller piece of the pie there. We're just going to wedge that up next to it. Okay, and even if it goes off the paper, don't worry about that at all. Put that into place, and I'm just going to randomly go back through a few of these colors, go white, black, pink, picking up little areas. And as you see, I've got all the extra bit coming off that card, so it's not a problem. I'll show you what we're going to look like when we get a little bit more done. There we go, line that up. And we'll do a pink one. Find a shorter one. Get that right up against that. And next goes a white one. And let's see, use that one. And we'll go to a black one here. Just work that. And the only thing you need to make sure of is that that will go all the way to the edge of that card. So you're going to work all the way around like this until you have something that looks like this. And I know this looks rather funny like that, but this is exactly how it should look. So what you need to do is turn it over and use the back to cut it. So let's see, I usually use a larger cutter, so let's just see if I can get this tidy. There we go. And put that edge up there, and that looks right about straight. Pop that off. Line that side up, right. Let me get that a little bit straight there. There we go. And the last side here. Let me make sure I can tidy that up. There we go. So now what I have is the perfect sun ray going all the way around. Now remember, this is kind of the area that's going to be covered, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into my base. I've done a bit of piercing around the edge, and I've got some matte and layer pulling in that white, pink, and black all together into the card. Pop that in between my pierced area. Okay, so there's the base of that card. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our love die. And what I've done here is I've actually stacked 3 of the black ones on top of each other with the pink behind. And that die actually comes in 2 pieces. So I've cut it out with the backing edge and just used the outside cutting edge to do the pink. So what I want to do is make this into a lacquered plaque. So I'm going to use some of the Cosmic Shimmer clear lacquer on this. Now I have a little bit of a confession. When I first did this, I was very, very careful to try and not get the lacquer on the top of that. And you just want to make sure it gets started with no air bubbles. So push it onto something else and then just bring it in and fill it in. And I did this ever so carefully to make sure that I didn't get it anywhere near that black. Well, there's spots where it's just a little bit tight and it's hard to avoid. And so I figured out a way to get around that. So I'll tell you when we get this finished here how easy that is. See that little tiny spot? It's hard to hit that without hitting that black lacquer. And I just wanted to have a nice matte finish on the top there. Just fill this in. And I have to say it's a little bit relaxing too. Just work it along, fill it in. And you can even use your pokey tool to kind of drag it through some of these thinner areas if you like. Putting that lacquer in all of these spots. And because you've built it up to several layers, you've got what I call a little reservoir. So it's just like filling in a little lake. Work it back and forth. All right, well, you kind of get the idea here. And you just want to make sure if you've got any areas that go up along the black here that aren't touching, use your pokey tool to pull it up so it's nice and tight in there, not leaving a little air bubble. Okay, so go ahead and finish that. You're going to leave it to set aside to dry once you get it all completely finished. And I'll bring one in that I've done earlier. So here's one that's dried overnight. And as you can see, there's little areas on the top there that just get into the black and kind of spoil that for me. Such a simple fix. One more die cut. We'll put it on. After everything's completely dry, a little bit of glue, run it on the back here. Just a nice little bead all the way around. And if you have the time to sit and do the entire thing so it's nice and tight up against that, that's going to give you the best results. I will fudge it a little bit just to speed things up. Just get it on here on the larger spots. There we go. That should sit down there fairly well. All right, so now we'll put this on top and you won't be able to see where that lacquer has hit that black. It'll create a whole new beautiful top for you. Line that up nice and straight. And I've got a little bit of glue coming out. There we go. But then you have a really, really pretty die cut. So I've added a bit of mounting foam to the back of that. I'm going to bring this over in place and we're going to hide that little area there and finish off our card. There we go. Give that a nice press. And you've got what looks like sun rays coming from your love plaque there. I just think that's lovely. And you've used up some of your little bits and done a gorgeous card. Hope you've enjoyed our video today, and don't forget to look us up on the YouTube channel.